Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a deeper look at the new moon in Scorpio. Now, before we do any type of breakdown or look ahead, just a quick little reminder for everybody that from now until the end of the year, all of my sessions have been discounted to new client pricing. What does that mean? When a new client comes to me, their very first session is discounted. And we can go over anything and everything whenever it comes to my sessions. We can go over just your chart. We can look at a relationship chart. We can look at things tied to family, tied to business, tied to health, whatever is going to work best for you. A 90-minute session with me is $50. An hour-long session is $35. And again, everybody gets new client pricing all the way until the end of the year. So to book a session with me, my contact information is listed in the description of every single episode. You can email me, you can contact me over social media, whatever is going to work best for you, and we'll get something scheduled. Aside from that, let's talk about this new moon. Now, in the previous episodes, I talked about how some of this energy can tie back to things that happened earlier in the year. But for some of us, especially the Mars ruled individuals, Aries rising and Scorpio risings, there's an extra layer to this energy. And for some of you, if you're really good at your journaling, you're really good at paying attention to your own notes, your own pictures, and everything else, you might have something that references back to this time frame also. And I want to remind everybody about something that happened roughly about this time last year, and that was the Mars rebirth. Mars comes into the conjunction with the sun once every other year. Basically, we run in 2-year patterns when it comes to Mars. One year we have a Sun Mars conjunction, the next year we have a Mars retrograde. One year we have the Sun Mars conjunction, and the next year we have a Mars retrograde. Last year we had a Sun Mars conjunction that happened in the sign of Scorpio. And that happened roughly between November 15th and November 20th of 2023, last year. And if you were listening to me that far back, and I know a lot of people that are listening to me now, you were not listening to me a year ago, and that is okay. I told the Mars ruled individuals, set your intentions and understand that it will take 2 years for things to manifest. 2 years. That a lot of us wouldn't start to see the growth in that manifestation until springtime of this year, and many of us have. But whenever it comes to this timeline, this new moon in Scorpio timeline corresponded with the two rulers of the new moon, Mars and Pluto, hitting their opposition in the same weekend. There will be something that starts to click into place for a lot of people. Now, something I said in the month ahead forecast, and I said in the week ahead forecast going into this week, is that we're feeling this energy in some way. We're feeling it in regards to a drive, a motivation, a determination, the desire to take a level of action, even at people that are not capable of always taking action. Like they have some type of resolve coming through of like, no, I've got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to do this thing. I gotta. There's a restlessness in this energy. There's something that is clicking into place. Because again, many of us are at a starting line. And over the next 6 months, we are all going through a different form of an obstacle course. And I do feel like the timeline of November and December, which this is happening on November 1st, this is how we start the month. It's like going across the monkey bars. Now, some of us, if you're going down the easy route, you can touch the ground and touch the monkey bars. Like, oh, this is super easy. I'm tall enough. You're going through an intermediate, you might be doing a little bit further. If you're going for advanced, it's like American Ninja Warrior type stuff. Like we are at a different starting line altogether. But we're all starting the obstacle course. And there is something that happens between this new moon in Scorpio and over the weekend following that Mars-Pluto opposition. There are actions that are going to occur. There is something that is taking place. There is a motivation that is setting in. And the intention is that it's going to be something that goes for a long period of time. And for some of us, it will. based off of Pluto, based off of the other outer planets that are starting to turn direct over the course of November, there will be some things that stick and grow. But some of the growth is going to have testing. And that's going to be a part of the Mars retrograde that we get into whenever we get into December, January, and February, because that's when he'll be retrograde. But he's in shadow, and he is one of the rulers of this new moon. In fact, the last lunation and this lunation are tied together because they were both ruled by Mars. 2 weeks ago, we had a full moon in Aries, squaring said Mars. Now we have a new moon in Scorpio right before Mars goes into the sun sign and starts mutual reception. There is a force to be reckoned with. For some people, that force is drive, motivation, determination. We're going to succeed. We're going to excel. We're going to level up. We're going to take something to the next level, into the next notch, whether we are ready or not. This feels right. There's a little bit of optimism. For some. For others, however, there is a weight, and there is a pressure, and there is a frustration, and there is a trigger that can come through somewhere between the new moon on the 1st, which is Friday, and the Mars-Pluto's exact opposition, which happens on Sunday. What a weekend. What a weekend. Nobody's sitting still, that's for sure. And even if you are trying to sit still, the restlessness in your body is not going to make it easy. It'll be a good time to clean the house. Going to be a good time to go for a walk outside. Go do something different. Don't stay in one spot. Now, there will be some people that they're going to be met with hostility and volatility and frustration in this energy. Some of that will have to do with the new moon being in Scorpio and taking into account what Scorpio represents. Fixed water, fixed emotions, things that have been felt for a very long time can suddenly be brought to the surface. All of the recent events over the course of the last 6 months since the last eclipse season, not the one we just finished, talking about springtime, back in April. For some of you, it goes even further back, depending on the situation. There have been things that have been boiling up below the surface that can finally come out this weekend, that can finally come to the surface, that can finally come to light, be exposed. Now, what's interesting about the idea of Scorpio is that Scorpio has the reputation of being very secretive, sneaky, doing stuff behind the scenes, behind the surface, not easily seen. If you look at Pluto being the modern ruler of Scorpio, Pluto rules the underworld. And there can literally be things that are going on in your life that are below the surface. But I don't just mean this in the emotional sense now. Plumbing issues is also a Plutonian thing. Plumbing issues. Things that are going on below the surface, but now in the most figurative way. Plumbing lines are under the ground. Hopefully. Some of y'all can surprise me still. There can be things that start to erupt and be disrupted below the surface in the literal, figurative sense, but also in the emotional sense. But whatever boils to the surface, whatever idea, drive, determination locks into place, whatever situation manifests, it's also got a level of light and exposure to it, because as soon as we go through that perfection of Mars and Pluto, Mars is going to go into Leo, and it is going to start mutual reception. There is something new coming through this weekend. New people, new ideas, new situations. new news that we are going to have to work with. Some of us are going to make commitments, very driven and determined commitments, partnerships. And I don't mean this in the romantic sense. You remember what I said about romantic relationships back at the beginning of October? No new relationships until April. And if you get into a new relationship in the meantime, that is on you. You did that to yourself. Because I was serious about those rules. I didn't really talk about it in the month ahead, but I should have. I was serious about those rules. No new relationships. But partnerships, business partnerships, cohesive relationships, they can show us something following this new moon, following the Mars-Pluto opposition. Having something come to light where we understand both sides. We know what the other person is working with. We know how things are going to go. We know the good, the bad, the ugly. We know where the bodies are buried. So we're able to take something up a notch. The transparency has been so solid. There is an energy imprint to this weekend that does speak volumes. It is a new moon. New moons can be new beginnings. But it is also a Mars-Pluto opposition at that 29-degree mark. We're folding time. Things are coming to a close. Things are going to be ending while a new thing begins, while a new position in power forms, while a new awareness starts to set in. Folding time. The weight of this weekend will vary for everyone. The ones that would feel it the most, Capricorn, Cancer, because the Mars-Pluto opposition is happening in your first houses, 1st and 7th. Leo, Scorpio risings, and Aries risings, because Mars is about to go into Leo. This is a new moon in Scorpio with Mars about to go into Leo, into that 10th house of career. And Aries risings because Mars is your chart ruler. And there are going to be a lot of things that bring up like sexual relations for you guys, stuff around kids, stuff around money. There's a lot of things that can be popping through right now. This is not a quiet new moon. It's not a subtle new moon. For some people, it will be very infuriating. It will light a match. Some of you have already messaged me this week going into this energy going, I feel the restlessness. I feel the rage. I feel the frustration. I feel sadness. It's overwhelming, but I want to react to this because the overwhelmingness is not like something I have felt before. And you can feel yourself being grabbed by the energy, even though nothing is going on around you in that exact moment, to make you feel so crappy. You still feel it in some way. We need to be aware of our emotions. We need to be aware of the things that we start to express and that we bring into the light, that we start to reveal, knowing that there will be some things that we cannot take back. Because again, Mars will go retrograde and Mars will be back over this point in the sky 2 more times. Or somebody is going to regret and try to backtrack. But there will be some things that we do not have the ability to take back, to undo. We will have to live with the reality of our decisions. So you need to be clear with whatever you're doing this weekend. You need to be mindful with whatever you're touching this weekend, whoever you're connecting with this weekend. The vibration shift, the frustration, the determination, the drive, the volatility will have a lasting imprint. Now, for some of you, if this does go all the way back to the Mars rebirth of last year, this is where we start to kick those manifestations up a notch. What were we trying to create? What are we trying to do? Where are we trying to succeed? Where are we trying to excel? Where are we trying to take on that next level of ourselves? How are we trying to ascend? For others, what disruption was revealed last year and what has been the flow and pattern of things since then? What has been shaking you to your core? Who has been shaking you to your core? Because we can reach a much more finite point in that situation that, again, whatever we say, whatever gets triggered, the buttons that are pushed, there's no takebacks. No takebacks. Some things, once they are said, once they are done, they can never be undone. The imprint is there. The damage is done. This weekend can have damage. This weekend can have an imprint, lasting decisions, initiations into the testing vibration that we are going into, accepting the challenge of said obstacle course. Are you going the easy route? Are you going to try intermediate? Or are you going balls to the wall, American Ninja Warrior? Some of us know what we're doing. Some of us are living up to this challenge. We're taking the challenge. It all kind of comes down to what you've been feeling in the energy. Are you still being grabbed by your emotions and unable to work through certain things? Because that can be a big part of the weekend. And the human effect is the new moon is on Friday. Mars-Pluto opposition is exact on Sunday. But depending on what house it's falling in for you, we will still be in the vibration come Monday and Tuesday of next week. We will still be in volatility. We will still be in the frustration. We will still be sucked into something. There's no real easy way out, so to speak. And there's not going to be a lot of ways to avoid whatever is coming, whatever is setting in, whatever is going to come to light and be exposed. There are levels and layers for everybody. Now. Oh, if you have never been a part of a new moon or full moon video, that is okay with me. That does not bother me. I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 22 degrees. I read everything from a whole house system. Therefore, whatever sign your ascendant is in, that entire zodiac sign is your first house. And every numerical house that follows is associated with the next zodiac sign. It makes it clean and easy, and it tends to be very helpful for accuracy. So with that being said, we're going to get into the charts and we're going to get into Aries and Aries risings. Oh, my loves. Okay, let's talk about it. We have a new moon in your 8th house. Finances. Yeah, first and foremost, finances. With the opposition of Mars and Pluto between your 4th house of home life, and family, and your 10th house of career. Some of you are going to have to make a decision that is going to create disruption in the family. Some of you are looking at a promotion. You are looking at a job transfer. You are looking at some opportunity that, even if it sounds temporary in the moment, it might turn into something that we go ahead and choose to be long-term later on, based off of the potential and the opportunities at hand. New ways of making money. There can also be things that have to do with death. The 8th house is a death house. It's a new moon in your 8th house. There can also be things tied to mothers and fathers, because the 10th house and the 4th house is exactly that. Mothers and fathers. Things within your family. Things within your home life. Things that go all the way back into the family closet. The bones that are buried and hidden. What do we have? Secrets potentially coming to the surface. Secrets about parents. secrets about our loved ones, things that we did not know. Whatever starts to happen is going to be very fast moving. If you take into consideration, again, we're at a 6-month transition. And in the course of a 6-month transition, we're looking at, for you guys in particular, all of this is preparing for the final Aries eclipse that's going to happen in March, which is also including a Venus retrograde and a Mercury retrograde. And again, when we get to March, we'll talk about it more. But all of this is setting the stage for where energy is going to be later, what is going to be new for you later. And for many of you with the Mars-Pluto opposition, you guys can be making the decision. You guys can be a part of the argument. You guys are looking at the tension. And whatever movement is going to be happening from here can be a forced decision being placed on you based off of another person. We want opportunity. We want something to fall into place. We want something to go well, but it's really going to be different for everybody. And given that the 8th house is the 2nd house of the 7th, the finances of another person, the finances of a partner, a roommate, husband, wife, whomever, a partner can be going through something, having an opportunity that creates disruption for you in your home life. So a lot of the energy around you guys is falling onto your plate, but it's not you directly. So we have this 3 of Wands. We're going to start with that. And again, with the 3 of Wands, this is about your surroundings. This is about the people in your environment, the people that you share space with. Not every one of you are going to be making decisions just to make a decision during this time. I hate to say that, but you're going to be forced to make decisions based off of other situations, based off other people, or you're being forced to make a decision because your position is being relocated with Pluto in the 10th. A lot of this has to do with what's been going on in your surroundings with the 3 of Wands. I'm going to keep that going. We have the High Priestess energy. We have this Magician card, and we have the Hermit card. Many of you have been waiting for something anyways with that Hermit card. It's like you've known something is coming. Your intuition has been tuning into it, but you've literally just been waiting for the news to present itself, the communication to present itself, the opportunity to finally come through, the acceptance, the decision of something to finally come through. And whenever certain things manifest with that Magician card, I would anticipate that you guys are going to have some kind of news that creates that ripple effect of change. Now, on the 2nd, right before the complete opposition of Mars and Pluto perfects, Mercury does get involved. Mercury makes a trine to Mars, it makes a sextile, and Mercury is also in your 8th house before it moves into the 9th. The discussion can literally be who's going to focus on what? Because I have to go for this job. I have to travel for this job. Or I have to take on additional responsibilities because they have to travel for this job. They have to go do additional training and education. They're going to have to take on extra things onto their plate in one direction. Therefore, the things that they would normally take care of are going to be on your plate. It's not that the burden is going to be horrible, 9 of Wands. It is something that is going to, again, line you up with what a bigger purpose that starts to come through in the springtime. So any extra weight and burden that you go through right now with the 9 of Wands energy, there it goes, it's very short-lived. It will actually be very busy with the 8 of Wands. Again, 6-month energy between now and springtime. Given everything that I'm saying, 6 months in the big scope of things is not a long period of time. You are going to be making decisions to make changes in the home life based off of a career, your career or someone else's. You are seeing disruptions and changes between mom and dad, whether you like it or not, that is going to potentially shed light on something else that alters your personal happiness. And that's going to make more sense as we continue through, our obstacle course run of the next 6 months. But there will be changes. Now, the one thing that I will say is that this is a new moon in your 8th house, and then Mars is going to go into your 5th house. We need to be very careful of any new sexual relations or any new relationships. Y'all know how I feel about relationships right now. We don't need them. Let's wait until springtime. But some of you might not be able to wait. The temptation and the desire of something will be so rich and so deep that we will be pulled into something almost uncontrollably. And I need you to try to snap out of that before the grab happens. So I'm telling you that as a way to prepare for the remainder of the month, because that's big picture energy. That's going to last for a while. Okay. Moving us along. We're going to get to Taurus and Taurus risings. Okay, my loves. Now, this is a new moon in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal matters. Some of y'all are making some new commitments. I hope they are not actual relationship commitments. Now, if you are leveling something up in your relationship, that is a different story. If it's an existing relationship, that is a different story. You might have some cold feet later on, but that's different. You can see something new taking shape with another person. New moon in the 7th. Now, Venus, your chart ruler, is in your 8th house, and she's very well placed here. Financial opportunities, the ability to make a little side hustle, make a little bit of extra money. We're seeing something here. Not entirely sure if this is the right way to go. Some of us it is. Some of us it's not. We're going to regret it. We need to be very careful with the people that we are allowing into our home and our home life. Why am I saying that? This is a new moon in your 7th house of relationships, but Mars is about to go into your 4th house of home life, and family. And he's only going to be there for 2 months. He's going to backtrack. Some of us are going to be looking at the idea of letting somebody move in, thinking, oh, everything will be fine. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It's not going to be that much work. That's not true. You can have energies that speak to regret. You need to be very mindful of who you're allowing into your space right now, because not everybody is coming into your space in the right ways for the right reasons. So let's talk about that. We got something new coming through. We got that Fool card. We got this Knight of Cups, something that we feel very optimistic for, something that we want to do. And we feel like no matter where we're going next, it's got to be better than where we have been. Some of you are going to be moving somebody in. Sorry, that 6 of Swords is still not. Come on, focus. There we go. All right. So some of you are looking at the idea of moving in a roommate, knowing that you're going to have some extra cushion with your bills. And either one or two things are potentially going to happen over the course of the next few months. Either one, something happens to you and that person is your saving grace, that you have somebody else there to help you share the load, help you share responsibilities. Or the people that we start to trust, the people that we're starting to let in, once they start to show the other side of themselves, we're going to question why we ever made this decision to begin with. We have the 5 of Coins. We have the 5 of Cups. Now, this is a desolate card. This is a bankruptcy card. This is I'm spending too much and not making enough card. I'm hurting myself financially. With this 5 of Cups energy, we can sit here and question all of our past decisions. And again, it can be like, why did I make this decision? And being stuck in the past situation, being stuck in something else without being focused on the benefits, with the 2 cups that are still full that we have not spilt. Now we have this Magician card. This is a Mercurial card. Jupiter is in your 2nd house of money. And when the Mars-Pluto opposition occurs, Venus, your chart ruler, will be making an opposition to Jupiter. There's a financial element there. Now you might have some opportunities that are coming through financially also in this new moon. I wouldn't normally say that because it is the 7th house thing, but we need to just be aware of what that opportunity is, and whether it comes with strings attached with this Magician card. Because once Mercury goes into Sagittarius, which that also happens this weekend, we get a lot of little things happening this weekend. Mercury will later go retrograde in your 8th house. And some of you are going to really feel either the positives, happy accidents, or the double whammies tied to your finances over the next 2 months. But a lot of it is still connected to the decisions that we are making right now, to the actions that are being taken based off of the decisions that have already occurred. The change, the shift is coming through this weekend. And some of you are going to be looking at the big picture going, I don't know that I should have made this decision come January and February. For some of you, the decision that you are making is going to be your saving grace come January and February. We need to be prepared for both. Watch how everything unfolds. And the best thing that you can do for the next few months is have a very good safety net. Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to get to Geminis and Gemini risings. Oh, honeys. Now, this is a new moon in your 6th house of health, pets, routine, getting a new pet. I've literally already had Gemini risings this week. Get new dogs. I'm not even kidding you. Get new dogs. So having something different with your pets this week, doing something different in that department, having something shift at work, having something shift in your routine, having a different thing start to set in where you're having to take additional work that you would not normally do, have additional tests that we would not normally have to take on. There is a shift in our routine that's coming. Some of us, you had made the decision for that to happen. For others, you are waiting for someone else to make a decision, knowing that it's going to have an impact and shift in your routine. Now, why do I say that second part? Oh, now one of the things that's going to happen is in this new moon, Mercury is also making a sextile to Pluto and a trine to Mars. Some of you are going to have to travel for work. You're going to have to do extra expenditures around work. Some of you are going to have something else that happens financially that suddenly impacts whether you're going to work or not because of how everything comes through, how everything is going to progress. Now, Mercury is about to go into your 7th house of relationships. And that's going to be the bigger part of things that start to come through. And it's going to come down to what decisions have you made since eclipse season, and even more so, what decisions have you made since the beginning of the, I don't want to say the beginning of the year. I almost said the beginning of the year. I didn't mean that. Since the beginning of the summer, specifically late May, early June, when everything from Taurus moved into Gemini, including good old Jupiter there. We're getting ready for a Mercury retrograde in your 7th house. Your chart ruler will be in mutual reception with Jupiter in the 1st and go through a retrograde at the same time. This is going to be a very, very chaotic, busy, and then sometimes, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, very overwhelming 2 months for Gemini risings. Very overwhelming. Because you could be committing to do something in one way, but then also having some kind of back and forth situation that's about to start between you and another person, or you and a legal situation. There's something that's about to kick up a notch that's going to last the next 2 months. And for some of you, your opinion of another person is going to drastically change. You're not going to respect them the same way. You're not going to trust them the same way. You're going to see them very, very differently compared to the way that you've seen them up until now. There are changes coming. Now, let's be honest about it. You've got the 7 of Cups. That's a lot of overwhelm. We have this Judgment card. A lot of this overwhelm that's coming through. You've made the decisions to get to this point. You have put yourself in the position to get to this point. However, Just because it's going to be busy, just because it can be overwhelming, it does not mean that you're not ready. Four of Swords. Many of you are ready. Many of you are looking at this opportunity. You're looking at the next 2 months, knowing that you've made certain decisions, Two of Coins, and we're just waiting to see how everything manifests into reality, into new light, into this new way of doing things with the Star card. For some of you, this is going to have to do with the way that you are connecting to another person. The thing about the 7th house, though, it is just another person. It does not have to be your romantic relationship. For some of you, it will be. For some of you, the other person is literally going to be a friend, a colleague, a coworker, a boss. Some of you is going to be boss. Because the other thing that's happening over the next 2 months is those things in your 10th house of career are going to turn direct with a boss. Saturn is up there. That's why I'm including that word. The other thing that can start to come through is changes within the family that is going to impact elders. And there can be some type of conversation back and forth about who's going to be taking care of grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, whoever. Adding one extra layer to that, for some of you, it is going to be a legal matter that starts to overtake the next 2 months. And I want you guys to keep pressing on as best as possible. 9 of Wands. Because you're getting way closer to something being closed out, resolved, and understood in a different way with the 9 of Wands. I know there are days that you want to hit your head against the wall, but you're not hurting the wall when you do that. Don't hurt yourself. Look at the big picture. Take a step back. Some of you are too close to the situation. You're letting it ride your nervous system. Take a step back, breathe, hold place for what you can control, relinquish what you can't. With that 9 of Wands, you are closer to being over something, over a burden, over a frustration right now than you were 6 months ago. Do with that what you will. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Cancers and Cancer risings. Oh, my loves. Okay. Oh, are you ready for a break? You're going to need it. You know, if you think about it this way, between September of this year and September of next year, of 10 of those months, Mars is only in between 2 signs. You get Mars for 6 months. You're wrapping up the first 2 months of Mars in your first. But then in January, you're going to get it for January, February, March, and April. So it's 6 months, give or take a week or so. Yeah. Now, this is a new moon in your 5th house of love and luck and joy and romance and happiness and children. But you know how I feel about that. Don't get into a new relationship. Or if you do, just know this is a plaything. This is only something for fun. However, I don't like it for that because of that Mars-Pluto opposition. You're feeling this. And some of you are going to be ready to put someone in their place this weekend. You're going to be ready to tell somebody off this weekend. You are going to be vibing and having a good time. And many of you are going to have some level of energy that just speaks to, you've done this in front of me for the last time. You have done this to me for the last time. Somebody embarrasses you in public. Somebody does something that they shouldn't be doing. Steps on toes in some type of way. Pushes your buttons in some type of way. There are final tests to Pluto in your 7th house of relationships. And for a lot of you, that is, I need to let go of the harmful pattern that I have been in, the self-sabotaging pattern that I have been in, and start to focus on something different. I need to be focused on what's best for me first, what makes me happy, versus another person. The self-sacrificing stages should be over, Cancer risings. You've had a lot of lessons in this area. It's just facing the decisions that we haven't wanted to face. And I feel like for a lot of you, There are some decisions that you have not wanted to face that you have no other choice but to face them. So let's talk about that. We have this Two of Swords and we have this Ten of Swords. You can see that there. There we go. Two of Swords, Ten of Swords. This is a lady, blindfolded, holding swords. Could easily get loose from her chains if she would just take off the blindfold. We choose to stay blinded. So many of you, in your self-sacrificial nature, choose to stay stuck in situations. That's not allowed anymore with the Ten of Swords. Many of you are going to go into this weekend committing to your own happiness and finally letting go of the past. Now, is that going to be an easy thing? No. And in fact, many of you are going to come to springtime having just made some very raw, hard decision now, and you're going to almost regret it, recant it, try to back out of it, or you're going to be tested by it in some way. Stick to your guns. Whatever feels right in this moment is right in this moment. Because again, whatever decision you are about to make is what's making you the happiest. Now, those were the harder cards. For a lot more of you, we have some other things that are starting to come together, and we have a lot of preparation involved to get those things in line. We have to be careful with who we share our space with and who we give our time to, who we share our stuff with. There's sometimes we have to hold our cards closer to our chest and be very aware of who we are sharing our space with. Now, the thing about the Lovers card is, again, we've got new moon in the 5th, 7th house, 1st house stuff. Some of y'all are going to potentially reconnect or sexually connect with someone this weekend. I don't like that. Because again, some part of whatever we start to do this weekend can come back and bite us later. We need to be aware of the energies that we are inviting in. And this is where it is at its peak for Cancer risings. Now, for others, you are going to be at a peak of frustration, a peak of volatility, a peak of tired of dealing with one person in one sort of way with this Emperor card, somebody who is stuck in their ways. And as opposed to trying to beat your head against a brick wall, because again, it's not doing anything for you. It's only hurting you. It doesn't hurt the wall. Some of you are going to have to finally reconcile with the fact that leaving something or someone behind allows for you to start building on a new tradition, to start building on a new vibration, to start building into something different and into something new moving forward. We're cutting ties with the old vibration. We're shifting into something new. We're starting something new. But a lot of you need to be very, very mindful of who you connect with in this time, because some part of it is not going to stick. Some part of it you will not see clearly. And it will take quite a while for you to be able to see that and recognize it. However, all of this energy is to prepare you for a new destination that sets in the springtime. A very new destination and a new direction. You will not be single forever. Staying stuck in a lousy marriage is not going to help you forever. By showing your kids, by showing your loved ones that you can do something differently than the way that you were raised, than the way that you've already been showing them that you can make that change, will speak volumes and set a standard for a very long time coming. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Leos and Leo risings. Okay, my loves. This is a new moon in your 4th house of home, home life, family, roots, ancestry, genetics. There can be things that speak to how we connect with our family. Some of you have been feeling very restless in your fields, very frustrated with your family, not necessarily seeing them the way that you used to, them not seeing you the way that you thought that you were being seen. And many of you are going to be feeling very, very compelled to take a stance. Now, that's some of you. For others, with that Mars-Pluto opposition, we are going to let go of something that we have been struggling with. We're going to be letting go of a routine. We're going to be letting go of certain habits so we can try to put a new focus onto ourselves. The problem with the new focus that starts to sit into ourselves is that it will be very short-lived. Something will come through and it will distract you. Something won't stick. Mars is about to come into your first house. And at first, you're going to love it. It's going to be great. It will make you more clumsy. I'll just start with that. Mars in your first house, it makes you more clumsy. It makes you more accident prone. You will suddenly have bruises on you. If you don't have your natal Mars in your first house, like you will suddenly have just bruises on you. Be like, where did this even come from? I don't know how I got this one. Yeah, that just happens sometimes. It's going to happen that way. For some of you, because something new is coming through around your family, your focus is going to be on exactly that. Being a mother, being a part of a family, taking charge in some way. Again, forcing your family to see you in a different way based off of Mars coming into your first house. And again, the first little part of it, you're going to enjoy. But then, then it won't last much longer after that. Okay. Putting these cards in order. Oh, in the most mundane sense, you can have something that's very different within the family. You can have the plumbing issue things that I was talking about in the intro, based off the fact that Pluto also rules your fourth house of home, life, and family. I haven't had a big reason to say that to everybody quite yet. So you guys are the first ones, sign-wise, that I've said that to. So be prepared that you can be blindsided by something and it can be like a plumbing issue. You can have something going on in your health. And again, habits and traits that we wish to break for the better of the family. However, for a lot more of you, as Mars has been slowly pushing through your 12th, he's really been instigating an energy of where we want to be seen differently. Ace of Wands, Wheel of Fortune. That new energy of direction, of hope, of desire is going to be a very, very big energy that is meant to be seen in a different way. Many of you are about to push to be seen in a different way. Your focus is what's best for your family. Your focus is how to maintain the household, how to maintain this image and this facade. There is a focus that is starting to come through. And at first, you guys will be very driven and motivated to fix all the things, Nine of Wands energy, finally get all those broken tasks done. And again, just being gauche in your own energy with that Queen of Cups. But then Mars is going to start to station. And this is a month away, but I'm still putting it into you now. I'm making you aware of it now. When Mars starts to station, the gauche feeling is going to make you restless. It's going to make you irritable. It is going to literally make your blood boil. Many of you will have issues tied to blood pressure. You're more accident prone. You are easily aggravated. And you need to be aware of how that is impacting your body. Because there is going to be something over the next 2 months that directly impacts you. And some of the decisions that you're making right now can be leaders in how that comes to pass. Now, some of you, again, it's going to go fine. It's going to go great. You're going to feel like luck is on your side. And I feel like for the majority of you, these first few weeks of November, you will feel like luck is on your side. And you're going to feel that new vibration, that new motivation, that new thing. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to do this. And I want you to do those things. But I also want you to be aware that your push to lift more, to accomplish more, to do more, can also create injury. And we don't want that. And I'm forecasting, yes, around the new moon, but also around that energy of Mars coming into your first house, knowing that it will feel one way at first. But then when we go into Sagittarius season, which is it's just a few weeks, that's just it. Then it's going to kick into something else. It will become more restless. It will become something else. And the positive energy of what you're feeling right here might fall back into this situation. So again, be aware of how your energy is manifesting moving forward, because some of this is not going to stick. Some of the new drive, the new motivation, the new things you're doing with your home life, within your family, the new things that you're doing in career, the new decisions, that new responsibility, some part of it will not stick. So be very aware of the things that are going on around the new moon, especially after Mars comes into your first house. And we will feel that completely from the 4th forward, November 4th forward. Okay. Okay. Moving along. Oh, for Virgos and Virgo risings, I don't know that you guys are going to be very happy. I just don't know. Now, let's start off with the fact that this is just a new moon in your 3rd house. Travel, going somewhere, super mundane stuff, changing something in your marketing plan, changing something in your commute, doing something with the neighbors, in your surroundings, that type of thing. But the rulers of this new moon, Mars and Pluto, are in an opposition between your 11th house of friends, network, clients, colleagues, and then Pluto is in your 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. Some of you are not going to like this energy. Some of you are going to be forced to face things from your childhood. Some of you are going to be forced to hold somebody in your surroundings accountable for their decisions, for their words, for their actions, for the way that they're doing things. Because many of you that started relationships earlier this year are going to realize that maybe you started a connection with somebody that should never have been more than a friend. That's not going to be an easy pill to swallow. Oh, we wouldn't have known that at that moment, per se. Some of you do, some of you don't. Some of you are going to be forced to look at alternatives. And you are either about to go into a timeline where you don't want to communicate with certain people in your surroundings because of how hard it is going to be, or you're going to go through a timeline where you start to feel very, very isolated. At first, it will feel like an escape. I want to just do these things that I wouldn't normally do. And that's because part of you feels like running. The travel is running. But then what's going to follow is going to be levels of isolation. Why do I say that? Mars is about to go into your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. It's an escapism energy based off of the communication that can be had this weekend in the Mars-Pluto opposition. You can quite literally make a decision that you will no longer be communicating with somebody in the same way as you used to, because again, many of you are starting to realize that some of the connections that you made earlier in the year should have never been more than a friend. These two actually came out together. And many of you are going to have to retreat, withdraw, take steps back to be able to find your strength again. And that's not going to be easy. Now, the thing about what else is happening in this new moon is Mercury, your chart ruler, is making a sextile to that Pluto and a trine to that Mars before he goes into your 4th house of home life, and family for the next 2 months. Some of you are going to be looking at changes in the household, within the family. Suddenly something happens and you're selling the family home in the middle of the holidays. But that's the best thing for everybody because it's what's going to help us connect with where we're going into the future. Some of you are going to be having major upheavals and shifts based off of other people's decisions as well as your own that is going to require restructuring, repurposing, replanning, and certain separations of assets. 5 of coin. So that way we can make space for what's going to come later. The last card that you have is the 3 of Cups. Now, this is a happiness card. I want to be absolutely clear about that. There is connection and there is connectivity. And some of you will find that the people that you can trust and lean into and connect to are not the ones that you prior thought that you could. The more changes and upheavals that start to happen in the household, the more we can start to recognize and realize that we're holding on to things that are sending the shock waves into your nervous system. The Virgos, I know it's very easy for you guys to sit here and think, well, my Virgo placements, it makes me neurotic, but you have to realize if you would get out of your own head, take a step back, and realize that the things that are good for you should not be making you feel extra neurotic, extra flustered, extra frustrated. If they were meant for you, they wouldn't hurt. And sometimes you guys grab on to things with the hopes that they will give you balance. But we tend to have rose-colored glasses when it comes to people from that other side. And again, some of you are going to have to face some very big factors, putting these back up again, that some of the people that we've been relying on, that we've been in connection with, and we've had a partnership with, we're going to have to face the facts that they might not have been anything more than a friend. And we've confused and conflated something that was not previously meant to be. If you lose something like that, if you lose someone like that, it too can put you into places of depression. It too can force you into a period of isolation. And that will be Mars in your 12th. Now, for some of you, Mars in your 12th will not be isolation. It will be the escape. I want to travel. I want to unwind. I want to move around. I want to go somewhere I've never been before. And I like that level of exploration. However, I don't want it to last forever. If you need to go out and explore life and do something new, go somewhere you've never been before, try to be back before December, because that's when Mars is going to go retrograde. That's just my thing on that one. Some of you are about to really deeply change what you see and what you desire in a lover, because the energy of Neptune in your 7th, it's almost done. You know that 6-month window I keep talking about? We're at the starting line of a 6-month window. And if you get to the end of that 6 months, you'll see something differently. One of the things that you guys will see differently is Neptune getting out of that 7th house of relationships and going somewhere else. So that one area, that one person, that one thing that we've been committed to, that we thought we could just make the most of, we're going to be able to see and recognize differently and clear out. There's a reason we have to clear certain things out, clear certain people out. They don't go with us to the next phase, into the next chapter, into where we are going next. And as a collective, next is big. The next 2 years are very, very big. Make the space. Anything that is causing you strain and stress on your actual nervous system, clear it out. I don't care how sentimental you are about that person. Let it headed out. Goodbye. All right, moving along. Moving along. We are going to get to Libras and Libra risings. Hi, honeys. How y'all doing with Mars in the 10th? Are you seeing all of the potential of something great in regards to the future, making very big plans? Some of you are. Are you starting to see issues between mothers and fathers? Some of you are. Mars' opposition to Pluto in the 4th house of home life, and family. We are starting to see issues, especially with our partners. And we are starting to see the issues around families. We have been for a while, but it's becoming more and more apparent. Now, this is a new moon in your 2nd house of money, your assets, your ideas, your plan. And the one thing I will say is very interesting in this new moon is that your chart ruler, Venus, will be making an opposition to Jupiter. Now, this does not go exact until the 3rd during that Mars-Pluto opposition. That all happened in the same time frame. But there's something promising there. Now, this is a 3rd house energy. For some of you, this is going to have to do with travel. For some of you, there's going to be some kind of new communication that comes through that makes you look at different opportunities and where you're at. And again, where you're calling home. Some of you have different career opportunities that are going to potentially put you into a different place. Some of you are looking at those opportunities and they're more tied to another person. We need to be aware of the energies and know that we are meant to move, meant to go into something different, and meant to make a specific kind of change. And again, for some of you, that change is going to be for somebody opposite of you. Now, some of you are just going to be looking at a different way of connecting with people. Now, why do I say that? This is a new moon in your 2nd house of money. And then one of the rulers, Mars, the one that's doing more damage at the moment, is going to move into your 11th house of friends and network and clients and colleagues. There is something that is shifting into focus that is going to change the way that you connect with people. It's already underway, very fast moving energy. We have this 2 of Cups. Again, it does have to do with connection. Yes, it's a Lover's card, but I look at 2 entities coming together and again, having certain connections. And again, we're looking at things that are meant to be about balance and focus and fairness. The way that you are connecting with people is meant to change. It's meant to be different. Now, for some of you, that's going to go well. For others, that's going to put you back into some toxic situations, especially whenever it comes down to Pluto in the 4th and having to do some final things tied to certain family members. There are certain toxic situations that many of you are going to have to face one last time, be a part of one last time, so you can finally nip those old ideas, that old way of doing things, that old situation in the bud. That 7 of Swords, that's a betrayal card. Two-faced, backstabbing, bullshit things going on behind your back. Catching somebody saying something behind your back. If you stay righteous in your energy, Venus is full steam ahead until springtime. And then she's going to do her damage. That's not going to start. Shadow phase is February, but it starts in the Venus retrograde starts in March. So we have some vibrational shifts coming. But for a lot of you right now, your focus is how you overcome something with your mothers, within the family. Seeing an opportunity to change something in career, whether it's your career or a partner's career. Seeing something that can change in the way that you connect with people, with Mars going into your 11th. And many of you are vibing high in this new moon. We feel like things are going right. We feel like things are going well. And I want to repeat to you guys, if you have not been living in alignment When Mars goes into your 11th house of friends, the things that you have done in the past, if you are not in alignment, I'm going to say it that way, you're not careful, you can be blindsided by things over the next 2 months once Mars goes into Leo. And the way that you connect to people right now might not stick for very long. And you're going to have to go back to the drawing board. You're going to have to go back in time on something. You're going to have to take a step back based off of what can potentially get exposed. Everybody's in different places. If you are not in that vibration, but you're more focused on you can see a change happening with your partner, then be prepared that a lot of the shift is going to be around that person. And again, what will start to change is like the people you surround yourself with can be different. If your spouse decides to move because they got a transfer in some way, your friend group is going to change. And that's going to be Mars in the 11th house. But some of you, you are going into business for yourself. You are trying to do something new in business. And if we're not on the up and up, that Mars retrograde, things can come back and turn around and they can bite. We can have something or someone in our surroundings that their opinion of us can change, you Libra risings. And that can have a detrimental impact in career over the obstacle course timeline. But as a whole, with Venus right now, Venus is very well placed in Sagittarius, hitting an opposition to Jupiter, hopeful energy, talking to the doctor, talking to the guru, getting some insight, getting prepared for something. Some of the preparations will stick, others will not. Starting line. What obstacle course have you picked? Okay. Moving along. For Scorpios and Scorpio risings, oh God, we are the problem. We are the problem. There's so many of us Scorpio placements that are going to be like, we're going to make some kind of huge decision this weekend that it's like, there is no going back. Like once it is expressed, what it is, it's known, it's announced, it's committed to, like we are going into it. And I got to say, like, I really do think back to that Mars rebirth that happened last year, because I remember talking to a lot of the other Scorpio risings that I work with. And it's like, whatever's happening in this rebirth, it's going to take 2 years to manifest. It's going to take 2 years to come full circle, but it's going to be really interesting how much can level up when we get into Mars in Leo starting now. It was a year away, but starting now. Basically a year. Oh, it's a new moon in the first. How we are seen, how we have spoken, how we are meant to be understood. Oh, it is changing. It is changing. The reflection is changing. The old you is falling away. That old tendency, the old weight. We are meant to let go of those things that hold us back, so that way we can look at a whole new focus of something coming forward. And for many of us, we are the focus. We are doing the damage. We are making the changes. We are making the choices to get unstuck and go somewhere else, prove something bigger, reach something higher than ourselves, higher than what we've been in. And for a lot of Scorpio risings, what can happen over the next 6 months can be absolutely fantastic. I love this new moon. Now, let's be clear. Mars and Pluto are going to hit their opposition. And if you are going into this weekend's energy, feeling hopeless, feeling restless, feeling stuck in the vibration, this hangman energy, that is because we are trying to do something that we are not meant to do. And many of us are going to be forced in the next few months to walk away from something that does not suit our bigger purpose. We are trying to move in a direction that does not fall into alignment with our actual path. We are working against the grain, working against the flow. We are not in alignment. We are not in flow. And if this is your energy, as we get closer to that Mars-Pluto opposition, many of you are going to make a decision to stop trying to learn from the experience, because that's what's been different about us compared to all the other signs the last few months is, for the last 2 months, our rulers have been in the third and the ninth. We're gaining knowledge, we're gaining experience, we're learning stuff in our environments, we're dealing with institutions differently, we're dealing with things differently, certain people differently. But now we're about to take that knowledge, take those connections, take something else, and then a whole new vibration around us is going to come to light. When Mars goes into Leo, it goes into mutual reception while the sun is in our first house. Babies, we are about to be center stage. What are you working on? What have you been working on? What have you been manifesting since last November? Have you stayed the course? Have you been doing the work? Have you been working towards something in some direction in some specific way? If so, we've got a lot of things coming to light and a lot of things coming into focus. And I want to be clear, only so much is going to stick. I'm not going to be able to say this enough. Only so much is going to stick. We're making the right decisions to do something different, to do something new, to do something in general. But it's like a tester energy. We're stepping into something knowing that it is a bridge energy. It is not a final energy. We're doing something for the first time, doing something new in some type of way, getting seen in a whole different way. And the way this next 2 months can be hugely beneficial for us financially is overwhelming. Can be. I'm not going to promise sunshine and rainbows. We do have a Mercury retrograde coming into our second house of money, opposite Jupiter in the 8th house. Some of us are going to be restructuring our debt. Some of us are going to be finding new streams of income. And at first, we're going to want to keep those things close to our chest and just vibrate in that passion and in that potential. And you should take note of what works, throw out what doesn't, look at multiple avenues, look at all the possibilities, and don't stay stuck in situations that no longer serve you. I'm pulling up that Hangman again. We've already had this card once before. Because no matter what, wherever we are going next is better than where we've been. We are not meant to stay in hard times. We are meant to set the stage and showing our family how matriarchies will work moving forward, how the patriarchy will work moving forward. We are setting the example. Scorpio risings, Scorpio placements. We are taking control of the narrative and setting a new example. And that starts the next 2 months of the next 6. Some things won't stick. Mars will go back into Cancer, so some things won't stick. But other things will. Because once Pluto goes into Aquarius, babies, he is there. And also be aware of the plumbing issues in the next 2 months. I hate saying that. I've already had that physical manifestation show up since I've started to say that to people, and they did like a city main check in my neighborhood, and there was like 500 breaks just on my block for replacing the old sewer lines. So be aware of stuff that is tied to sewer too. I know that's not nearly as breathtaking and everything else, but it's the truth. Okay, moving along. We're going to get to Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings. Okay, my loves. This is a very interesting energy for you guys because it is a new moon in the 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and ending. Some of you are about to make some very big changes and letting some things go, especially whenever it comes to the financial area of life. Why do I say that? Because of the Mars-Pluto opposition. It is time to let go of fears tied to money. Some of you have had major power struggles around money over the last 15, 16 years of Pluto being in Capricorn. And we are looking at opportunities looking at how we are connecting to other people, connect in partnership, and making active decisions to no longer be stuck in the bad situations. And for you to make those changes, for you to make those decisions, you have to make some very big changes moving forward. And many of you are going to be making the changes based off of the other person in your life, the other person that is setting the standard, that is setting the example, or the other person that is pushing your buttons to where you have no choice but to let go, but to get unstuck, but to find your strength again. Now, anytime we have a new moon or heavy energies that go through the 12th house, that unknown, the unseen endings, especially for you guys, it can take you to dark places. It can take you into areas of depression. And many of you are finding yourself getting very, very close to an old pattern, an old energy, or an old situation that we need to face the demons. We need to face the fears. We need to have that type of ayahuasca ceremony that brings forth all of the old wounds, the old fears, the old traumas, so you can finally be seen differently. Now, one of the things that's going to happen in the Mars-Pluto opposition, which is a part of the new moon weekend, so it's why I'm keeping it all together, is Venus in your first hitting opposition to Jupiter in your seventh. With Venus in your first, attention is meant to fall on you. Mercury is about to come into your first also during this timeline. And that focus of who you connect to, who you trust, who is there for you is going to be a big part of the energy. Who has been there for you and who do we need to let go of? You guys have a lot of changes and restructuring that you are about to hit because that old way of doing things, that old dynamic, is some form of betrayal in that situation. And many of you are going to be forced to take that step back, completely reevaluate, and find a whole new way of doing something. Because the way that you have been, you have chose to stay stuck in many, many ways. The thing about the hangman is he can get himself loose. He chooses to be upside down and be in the Houdini situation. It all comes down to when we are going to be able to grab a hold of certain situations and face our fears. Is that all going to happen in this new moon? No. In fact, I feel like this new moon is going to be very, very triggering for many of you. And it's going to be triggering those old insecurities that you need to let go of. You need to, one, when the emotions hit, you need to take them, hold of them, process them. Remember what happened then that's bringing them back to the surface now. What's been the same in the pattern? Who's the same in the pattern? So again, you can figure out how you let that go. Because what comes through over the next few months afterwards is magnanimous for you guys. And so many of you are going to be able to regain a part of yourselves that you haven't connected to in a long time. You haven't been able to be centered into for a long time. You are ascending and finding your strength again. And the reason you are finding your strength now is because you have so much changes coming. But many of you have to make decisions for change. Right now, you're not making decisions. In fact, many of you are going to feel like something going on behind your back is forcing you to make decisions. It's forcing you to rethink your career, forcing you to rethink the way that you make money, forcing you to rethink your home life and your commitments. There are adjustments coming, but many of you will be making those adjustments based off of working through the fears, working through the insecurity, working through the blindsiding, working through the past, working through the frustration, working through the betrayals, working through everything that has kept us stuck in a rut, in a funk, in the mud. So that way something and someone new can come through afterwards. You're not meant to stay stuck forever. You are meant to achieve. You are meant to come forward. You are meant to connect to something differently. We all are as a collective. We are all going into something very, very different. Work through the pain, work through the triggers, work through the past. It's time to handle it, and it's time to heal. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Capricorns and Capricorn risings. Oh, my loves. Oh, some of you are about to be changing a lot of things tied to family and partnership in your home life based off of these transits. We have this final connection to Pluto, this final major connection. We'll still have a Moon-Pluto conjunction that's going to happen here in like a week or two, but that's not going to be nearly as drastic as this Mars-Pluto opposition that's going on right here. And we've been building to this for weeks. For weeks, we've been building to this opposition. I'm going to remind you guys that the weekend that Pluto came back into Capricorn is also the weekend that Mars went into Cancer. And even though that by whole house, by the signs, they entered opposition, we've been building to this exact opposition the entire time. We've been building to something, a new commitment, a new friendship, a new connection, a new way of connecting with people, a new vibration. And many of you are meant to meet someone or do something very, very differently. And you're going to be making some decisions that make you feel whole, that make you feel more in balance, that make you feel certain restorations of power once again. Reclaiming something, regaining something. You're not quite done with Pluto in your first, and that's actually not going to end until the 19th of November. The first full day will be the 20th, basically. So November 20th is whenever Pluto is going to completely leave your first house. And every step until then is just one more step of coming to the realization, coming to clarity, of letting go of fear, of letting go of a past power struggle, and finding a new way of functioning, a new way of being, a new way of committing. Committing to yourself, committing to your future, committing to some level of progress, and everything around you. It's very, very fast moving. That ain't just you. Honestly, that's a little bit of everybody. But I want you to be prepared for the way the decisions go this weekend and the conversations go this weekend, because not everybody is going to be in tune with who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. Some people will even be very, very shocked and surprised by what kind of things you can say this weekend. And it can literally lead to the ending of certain relationships. Why do I say that? Pluto, Mars, first of three oppositions, the only one that happens between Cancer and Capricorn. Therefore, the only one that's happening in your first and seventh house. There is going to be something here between you and another person that's meant to come to a close, that is meant to be released. We don't want to feel this way anymore. Therefore, we have to make the decision to walk away, to let someone else walk away, to let somebody else go do their own thing. This Two of Swords, there is some level of a decision that is being made. And again, whatever that decision is meant to bring us more into balance. What happened in the full moon in Aries, by the way? That full moon squaring Pluto, squaring Pluto and squaring Mars. We've been building to something since that full moon. And it's bringing up a level of completion in that seventh house of relationships. Something that is meant to bring you back into balance, but it'll be a hard decision to make. But once it is made, and once the clarity comes through, the vibration of success and achievement and the things that can be conquered afterwards, the parts of you that you start to regain, inside and out, will start to flourish in a way that other people can't immediately process. And if somebody else is walking away and then they start to regret it later, hold to your decisions. Everything is in motion. Everything is moving in a certain direction. Everything is taking you into the new version of you that no longer sinks into the same levels of fear and frustration the way that you have. Remember how you felt this summer. Remember how capable you became over the summer whenever you had months of Pluto being out of your first house. It's time to take that back. That means changing the way that you connect with certain other people, changing the way that relationship is going to go, changing those things in your home life, changing those commitments, whatever it is for you that you have to make the change on. Remember, it's not going to be an overnight change. It's not going to be something that goes quickly per se in the moment. We have to go through each day, but in the long run, 6 months is not that long. And by the time we get to springtime, many of you will not be living in the same place that you are right now. You will not be connected to the same members of your family the way that you are right now. You will not have the same levels of partnerships that you have right now. Some of them are coming to a close, and that is okay. Let go of the things and the people that are holding you back. Allow certain things to heal. Now, the other thing about the next few months that I need Capricorn risings to be the most aware of is that by letting go of one thing, you're also going to be able to make certain steps to process and heal another. And that has to do with Mercury going into your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. That Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, that will not be good for a lot of Capricorn risings because that's the ruler of your 6th house of health in the 12th. The ruler of your 12th house of the unknown and the unseen and endings is retrograde in your 6th house of health. Some of y'all are going to have some health stuff over the next few months. One thing does not have anything to do with the other, but I am warning you now so that way if you can take additional measures to maintain a good diet, not go out and do anything crazy with the drinking or anything along those lines. I'm saying drinking because of the liver. Jupiter rules the liver. These things are in your benefit if you can do those things. Stay very conscientious of what you are doing. Because whenever you're out celebrating, that energy of just like, okay, it's not my responsibility anymore. It's not my thing anymore. I don't care about him anymore. A little too much in the libation celebration can have a negative impact. Be aware of that. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Aquarius and Aquarius risings. Hi, honeys. How are you? Oh, how are you feeling? I know a lot more Aquarius risings felt that flu-like effect that I was talking about in the week ahead forecast than others because Mars is in your 6th house of health. So I've had a lot of Aquarius risings that whenever I brought up the flu symptom situation, I got a lot of DMs going, that wasn't funny. It's like, oh, I didn't do it on purpose. I don't have a choice. I'm just letting you know it was one of the things I felt. A flu-like symptom coming on. Something that was kind of like, if you had it, a lot of you, it was like kind of protecting you from something. It was keeping you away from something. Of course, I dropped cards with you guys. Yeah. Oh. It was keeping you in focus in some way. Oh. A lot of you have been dealing with things from the past, certain insecurities. You keep dealing with a certain person that brings up all of the old wounds, all of the old triggers. And I'm telling you, the only way that you're going to make something in this area change is to force the matter and press that subject onwards. You have to do something differently. Hiding, pretending it's not happening, pretending it doesn't exist, pretending that everything is just going to be okay in a week or two, that's not helping you. Oh, and many of you are about to go into some extra layer of something with a partner in a legal matter that is going to really bring out another side of you. And for some of you, you're not going to be able to handle it very well. For others, for others, you're going to not only handle it well, but they're not going to recognize the person that they're fighting with anymore. Now, this is a new moon in your 10th house of career, your goals for the future, the way you wish to be seen, the way you wish to be known, heard, understood by others. Here in the next few weeks, Pluto is going to come into your first house. And anyone that's going to be pressing your buttons, the way that you respond to them will be very, very different. And you will trigger insecurities and fear in people in ways that you've never done it before when Pluto comes back into your first. And then for many of you, that is going to be how you take back your power, is by pressing into a situation, by holding another person accountable and dealing with this thing tied to relationship, partnership in a whole different way. And many of you are going to be making decisions based off of certain betrayals. 2 of Wands, 7 of Swords. The more you feel betrayed, the more you feel hurt, the more you feel abused, the more you feel frustrated, the deeper that lion within is going to come out, and other people will not be able to handle it well. And I say that because Mars is about to come into your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. He will stay direct for a while. He will go retrograde and he will come back out. The more you hold that other side accountable, the more you hold them to the fire, the stronger you allow yourself to become. I'm putting this card back out there. The more you hold to yourself, other people will not be able to handle it. They will realize they can't pull game on you the same way. They can't pull the same bullshit on you the same way. And they are going to be forced to do nothing but take a step back. There's so much to this energy that speaks to testing you. Now, for some of you, whenever Mars goes into your 7th house, because that happens first, and something tied to a partner, something tied to another person, when it becomes exposed, it will force you to face certain realities. And then the weight of Pluto coming into your first will not be you taking back your power. It will be you facing the reality you did not wish to face before. You did not want to accept as truth. Something is coming back into focus. And for many of you, as you take back your power, you will find these things that bring happiness, that bring more faith to you, that feels more secure for your family, that feels more secure for your children. It is going to bring so much in for you. For others, if you are dealing with the weight of Pluto coming back into your first, and you're seeing a difference in another person, in a relationship and in a partnership, by relinquishing and extinguishing that power dynamic, again, we can find these things that bring balance, that bring hope, that bring happiness, that bring all of the potential of something that we haven't had in a very, very long time. Many of you are going to be forced to face a reality in the coming weeks. And by accepting that reality, by no longer allowing for another person to have control over you, to blind you to certain things, by accepting the truth It's the best thing that you can do to heal. But understand that you are at the start of a cycle once Pluto comes into your first. That is going to deeply impact the way you see the future and the way you see your success and the way you see a number of things for years to come. There's a whole different level of strain. Yes, it's Pluto, but also power because it's Pluto that is coming on to your shoulders. It is coming on to your plate. And anything over the course of the last year and a half has been preparing you for this bigger dynamic that's coming in. And the good news, Pluto is exalted in Aquarius. He actually does really well there. And I'm a Pluto conjunct the ascendant person. It's not an easy energy. But when you understand the harnessing ability of Pluto, it is a phoenix energy to work with, to handle, to live in. Don't burn. Become the phoenix. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Pisces and Pisces risings. Now, honeys, this is a new moon in your ninth house, travel house, higher education, higher learning, how you connect to source. A lot of you are doing additional levels of training. You're running around, you're going back and forth. Some of you are actually traveling. And if you're traveling, it either has to do with a loved one or it has to do with a child. Some of you might be taking on some additional travel and training because you're about to do something very, very different in career. Why do I say that? Well, Mercury is going through a trine with Mars and a sextile to Pluto before he spends the next 2 months in your 10th house of career and goals, public image, things that you wish to do for the future. And even though this is a new moon in the ninth house, you're learning something through experience. You're taking on a new experience. You're looking at the possibilities of a new path. And there's a lot of things that are starting to unfold around you, unfold for you. And the way that you either handle the care of your health or the way that you have been caring for another person is going to dynamically change in the weeks ahead. And many of you are going to be stuck in a situation that no matter how much you wish to walk away from, you won't be able to do it immediately. The strain and the stress will be too much, too large, too big. You won't be able to walk away from things. And this is the start of a very interesting dynamic over the course of the next 2 months. So let's talk about that. As a whole, this is a new moon in your ninth house, which is not a heavy placement. Again, higher education, higher learning, how you connect to source, having to do with institutions. A lot of things can have to do with training and travel whenever it comes to the ninth house. But what I'm more focused on is the fact that your chart rulers have been in between your first and your fourth since the beginning of the summer. Neptune's been in your first forever, where I'm not talking about that part right now per se, but I'm more focused on Jupiter in the fourth house of home life, and family, as Mercury. Right after this new moon, Mercury will enter your 10th house of career. Now, for many of you, whatever starts to happen next is going to be like, I'm looking at the potential of something different in career. And to do that, that means I might have to move my family. That's a big potential. Some of you are, again, you're at a crossroads in the energy and you're having to make a decision about the path. We've gone one way for so long. This has been the plan, but now this opportunity can create something very, very different. And many of you have a lot of work obligations that will be changing over the next few months because of the Mercury retrograde that will be in your 10th house of career. And you can be in talks and understanding and negotiations in the new moon, knowing that what's going to be happening next in regards to your routine, in regards to career, is going to adjust. That's some of you. The other thing about the 10th house and the 4th house, Mercury retrograde in the 10th, Jupiter's retrograde in the 4th, is that there can be things tied to mothers and fathers that tend to come up in the subject line. There can be things about relationships. Excuse me. that are going to come back into subject line. And there will be certain things about connections and commitments that are going to get tested in the weeks ahead. Some of you are going to be looking at the idea of moving for a career, of moving for a partner, of moving, again, because we have something else that's going to help out. Some of you are going to be looking at the idea of buying land for a career opportunity. That's another way that this stuff can play out. And we're allowing for certain things to finally fall into focus. And some of them will. Some of those things that are going on the career aspect that are going on in our goals, they are going to connect in a whole different way. And the level of charge that we will have will be fantastic. However, I also look at the fact that Mercury retrograde in your 10th house can have a lot to do with fathers, the masculine energy, fathers. And there can be things tied to male masculine energy and their health that start to come through. And many of you are going to get stuck in a situation where you're going to be taking care of someone else that you would not normally take care of. And the desire is going to be to walk away from something. And I'm letting you know now, walking away will not be an option. Not for a while, at least. You're going to desire it. You're going to want to, but it's not going to be an immediate option that you can take because the necessity will be so great. At minimum, when you can walk away and no longer feel responsible for certain individuals, at minimum, will be January. For others, for others, there's a reason all of that responsibility is falling onto you. There is a reason this new idea, this new perspective, this new goal is falling onto you because you have this big shift in your routine that is coming through. And for many of you, whatever happens next is going to have levels of disruption that I can't even put into words quite yet. Disruptions in your health, disruptions in the health of a family member and the health of a loved one. You might have one plan at the beginning of November that will not stick by the time we get through the month. And you can start to see the writing on the wall for whatever that is going to be right after the first week of November. You'll see whatever the disruption is. You'll start to see that mom isn't feeling well, the dad isn't feeling well, uncle isn't feeling well, somebody's not feeling well. Aunts and uncles are 6th house also. Last but not least, the other thing that we can deal with is issues around our pets and having to do extra trips to the vet, extra trips to take care of something, little situations that keep popping up that are forcing us to go into the vet. Like they're just not eating. They're not feeling well. I don't know what's going on. There was a cat fight. There was a dog fight. There was something. And pets can be a very big energy around you over the next 2 months as Mars turns retrograde in your 6th house. You could be taking on a family member's pet right now, but then as soon as you're in their care, you're noticing differences in their health, differences around them. And something that you didn't know to look for, you haven't seen, but the other person has more experience, or vice versa. You are the one that's taking care of them, and you're recognizing that they don't know what they're doing, and you're literally teaching them, this is how you take care of the puppy. This is how we train them. This is what we do with them. There are levels to what's coming next. Some of you are going to be doing really good by the time we get to January. Others of you won't be. And again, you're going to be stuck in certain situations that you're going to want to walk away from. And you're not going to be able to do that immediately. Okay. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I never do anything real heavy on the closings of the full moons and new moon videos because I put so much emphasis in the beginning and in your individual signs. Hit me up with questions. Hit me up with concerns. Remember, Wednesday nights I do the group Zooms at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then, of course, after that, you can always DM me or email me to set up an individual session. So I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.